Hello friends, welcome to SK Tech Katta. Today we are going to discuss about the topic forces on a submerged bodies, that is also called as a drag and lift forces. So here in this picture you are clearly observing that there is one sport car which is moving on a road. So whenever that sport car is moving on a road, the air which is surrounding to that sport car is passing over that sport car. So while passing that air over a sport car, that air is acting up forces on a sport car. So here in this case, whatever the sport car will be there, that will be considered as a submerged body, and here whatever surrounding air will be there, that will act the forces on a submerged body. So whatever this video will be there, that video will be completely related with the various forces which are acting by the fluid on a submerged bodies. Those are also called as a drag and lift forces. So the topics which we are going to cover in this video, those are nothing but, first one is related to the introduction. Introduction means what are the different types of forces which are acting on a submerged bodies. Then second point we are going to cover, that is nothing but the forces exerted by the flowing fluid on a stationary body. And third point we are going to cover, that is expression for drag and lift, that is nothing but the derivation to find out the drag force and lift force which is acting on a submerged body. So let's start our video. First point, introduction. So as we are knowing that whenever any fluid is flowing around the stationary submerged body, or when any body is flowing through a stationary fluid, or when body as well as fluid both are in motion with a different velocities. In all these three cases, that means first case is when fluid flowing around a stationary body, second when body is flowing through a stationary fluid, third one body as well as fluid both are in motion with different velocity. So in all these three cases, whatever surrounding fluid will be there, that surrounding fluid is always acting the forces on the submerged bodies. So in most of the engineering field, whenever we are going to consider the flow of fluid, so there are so many problems in which the flow of fluid around a submerged body or objects are encountered. So there it is necessary to calculate the forces which are acting on the submerged body before designing those components. So few examples are there. First example is motion of very small object, that is nothing but sand particle in air or water. So whenever any sand particle will move in air or water, that surrounding fluid, that is nothing but air or water, is always acting the forces on that sand particle. Second simple example, aeroplane, submarine, automobiles or ship. So whenever those aeroplanes, submarine, automobile or ship are moving through water or air, so here also whenever aeroplane is moving through air, or whenever submarine is moving through water, automobile is moving on a road through surrounding air, or ship is moving through a river through water, so whatever this surrounding fluid is there, that is always acting the forces, on this object. So while designing this aeroplane, submarine, automobile or ship, we need to encounter, or we need to consider those forces which are acting on those submerged object, and then only we have to design those component of those objects. third one is nothing but building or bridges which are submerged in a air or water. So whatever buildings are there, that will be considered as a stationary object, and whenever air will be passing over that building, so stationary object in a moving fluid, so that air will act the forces on the building, as well as whenever water is passing over a bridge, that water will always act the forces on a bridge. So while designing that building as well as bridges, we need to consider the forces acting on that body because of that flowing fluid. So now next point is nothing but force exerted by a flowing fluid on a stationary body. So consider we are having one stationary body. So this is the stationary body which is having the arbitrary shape. Now if I am going to submerge this stationary body in a flowing fluid, so here suppose I am having any flowing fluid as either water or air, so whenever that flowing fluid will have the velocity as a u, and that flowing fluid will pass over this stationary body. So we are knowing that flowing fluid will always act the forces on that stationary body. So whatever force will be acting on that stationary body, that force will be always perpendicular to the plane of that stationary body. So here if we are saying that Fr is nothing but the total force which is acting on the stationary body, so here total force will always act perpendicular to the plane of that stationary body. So here total force is in inclined direction with the direction of motion. Whatever this total force will be there, that total force can be divided into two components. First component will be, or that can be resolved into two components. First component will be the along the direction of motion, and second component will be the perpendicular to the direction of motion. So the component of total force in the direction of motion of the flowing fluid, that will be called as a drag force, and the component of total force perpendicular to the direction of motion, that will be called as a lift force. So these are the two forces which are always acting on a stationary body. So now we'll see the definition of drag and lift. So drag force is nothing but the component of total force Fr in the direction of motion of the fluid, called as a drag force, and lift force is nothing but component of a total force in the direction perpendicular to the direction of the fluid, called as a lift force. So here we have to one point we have to take into consideration, that whatever lift force is there, that lift force is acting only when the axis of stationary body is inclined to the direction of motion. So lift force occurs only when axis of body is inclined to the direction of fluid of a flow. So if the axis of stationary body is parallel to the flowing fluid, then value of lift force will be equal to 0. That means we have to take into consideration that whatever value of lift force acting on any stationary body will be there, that will exist only if the axis of stationary body is inclined to the direction of motion. So here, for better understanding purpose, here we have taken the example of aeroplane. So this is the aeroplane. So if we are considering that aeroplane is moving towards this direction, so whatever thrust component will be there, which is created or which is generated because of the fuel burnt inside the engine component, so that thrust will be created in the direction of motion of that aeroplane. But surrounding to that aeroplane, there will be the air. So here that aeroplane will be acting as a submerged body, and fluid will be the air. So that air or motion of air will be towards this direction. So whatever total force component will be there in the direction of motion, that will be called as a drag force. So drag force will be always acting in the opposite direction to the thrust. And second one is nothing but the weight of the aeroplane. That weight of aeroplane is acting in the vertically downward direction, but as that aeroplane is submerged inside the flowing fluid, that's why here the component of total force perpendicular to the direction of motion of that air. Direction of motion of air is towards the direction, so that perpendicular component will be called as a lift force. And because of generation of this drag force and lift force only, because of generation of this drag force and lift force only, that aeroplane is in motion, or that aeroplane can fly in the air. So there are some points which should be noted. Those are related to the drag and lift. So first point, we have seen that production of lift force occurs only when the body or stationary body is inclined, or axis of stationary body is inclined to the direction of motion. That means production of lift force requires asymmetry of a flow, while drag force always exists. Second point, we have to keep in mind that it is impossible to create a lift without drag. That means always drag component on any stationary body will always exist, but it is not the case that always there will be the lift component. And third one, we have to take into consideration that any object moving through a fluid will experience a drag force. So one special case we have to note, that is nothing but when we are considering an ideal fluid. When we are going to consider any ideal fluid, and inside that ideal fluid, if we are going to immerse a body which is symmetrical in nature. Symmetrical in nature means such as sphere or cylinder. So when we are going to immerse any symmetrical object or symmetrical body such as sphere or cylinder inside the ideal fluid, then the value of drag force is equal to value of lift force is equal to 0. So value of drag force is equal to lift force is equal to 0 when symmetrical body is immersed in an ideal fluid. Then we have to see the derivation for drag and lift, that is also called as expression for drag and lift. So for that purpose, consider one stationary body. This is a stationary solid body. Suppose that stationary solid body is having the area as a capital A. That stationary solid body is immersed in a flowing fluid. So surrounding to that stationary body, suppose any fluid is flowing with a uniform velocity equal to u. So whenever that fluid is flowing over that stationary body, as we are knowing that that fluid will always act the forces on that stationary body. So resultant force acting on that stationary body, will be always perpendicular to the plane of that stationary body. So here Fr is called as a resultant force, which is perpendicular to the plane of stationary body. And we can resolve this total force into two components. One will be in the direction of motion, called as a drag force. Another will be in the direction of perpendicular to the direction of motion, called as a lift force. Now to calculate the formulas for drag and lift, here we are going to divide that entire stationary solid body into number of small elementary area. So here we are going to divide this entire body, which is having the total area as a into number of small elementary area, which will have the area as a dA. And after dividing into number of small area dA, we are going to consider, for study purpose, we are going to consider any one small elementary area. So here suppose I have considered this as a small elementary area, which is having the area as a dA. So now here, if I am going to study the forces which are acting on this small elementary area dA, so here two types of forces will be acting on each and every elementary area. First one will be the because of pressure, called as a pressure force, and second one will be the because of shear, or because of the shear stress, called as a shear force. Now here if I am going to assume P is nothing but the pressure intensity which is acting on a elementary area dA, and tau 0 is nothing but the shear stress which is acting on the elementary area dA. So the the forces which are acting on this small elementary area dA will be, first one will be the pressure force, that is nothing but P into dA, that will be perpendicular to the plane of that elementary area. And second one will be the shear force, and that shear force, value of shear force will be tau 0 into dA, that will be tangential to that small elementary area dA. Now here we will observe that nomenclature. U is nothing but the uniform velocity of that fluid, A is nothing but area of arbitrary shape, dA is nothing but elementary area of that small elementary area of that small component, P is nothing but pressure intensity acting on that small elementary area, tau 0 shear force acting on that small elementary area, theta is nothing but the, here theta is nothing but the angle made by that pressure force with the direction of flowing fluid. So here on that small elementary area there will be two types of pressure, there will be two types of forces which will be acting. First force will be pressure force, that is nothing but P into dA, that pressure force will always act perpendicular to the surface of that elementary area dA. Second one will be the shear force, which will be acting tangential to the direction of surface, that is nothing but tau 0 into dA. Now as we have divided that entire body into number of such small elementary area, and on each and every small elementary area there will be two types of forces. First one will be the pressure force, second one will be the shear force. And pressure force will always act perpendicular to the plane of that elementary area dA, and shear force will always act tangential to that elementary area dA. So here if I want to calculate the drag force, total drag force acting on that entire body, then to calculate the total drag force acting on that entire body, I need to consider the horizontal components, that means along the direction of motion, horizontal components of pressure force and shear force, which will be acting on each and every small elementary area. So, and if I want to calculate the value of lift force, total lift force, if I want to calculate the value of total lift force which will be acting on this entire elementary on this entire stationary body, then I need to calculate, or I need to consider the vertical components of pressure and shear forces which are acting on each and every small elementary area. And after taking the summation of those vertical components of pressure and shear forces acting on each and every elementary area, I will get the value of lift force. So now we will calculate the value of drag force or total drag force acting on that elementary area. So to calculate the total drag force acting on that entire body, first of all we will calculate the drag force which is acting on that small elementary area dA, and after calculating the small drag force acting on that small elementary area dA, we will calculate the drag force acting on that entire body by taking the integration of that drag force acting on that small elementary area dA. For that purpose, suppose that small elementary area dA, this is the enlarged view, so this is the area dA. So here the direction of motion of fluid is horizontal direction. So here as we are knowing that on that small elementary area dA there will be two types of forces. First one will be the pressure force. So pressure force is nothing but P into dA, that will always act perpendicular to the area dA. And second force is nothing but the shear force, and that is nothing but tau 0 into dA, that will always act tangential to the direction, tangential to the plane of that small elementary area dA. Now as we have considered that angle made by pressure force with the horizontal, that is with the direction of motion, is nothing but the theta. So this remaining angle will be equal to 90 minus theta, because this horizontal and vertical component are making an angle of 90 degree. If I am considering this as a theta, so remaining angle will be 90 minus theta. Again, as that PDA and tau 0 DA are making an angle of 90 degree. PDA and tau 0 DA, those are making an angle of 90 degree. So if this angle PDA with vertical, that angle is 90 minus theta, so tau 0 with vertical, that angle will be considered as a theta. That angle will be considered as a theta. Now here, if I want to calculate the drag force acting on that small elementary area dA, then I need to consider the force due to pressure and force due to shear stress in the direction of motion on that small elementary area dA. So here the drag force acting on that elementary area can be calculated by, here PDA is making an angle theta with the horizontal, PDA component, PDA is making an angle theta with the horizontal. So here if I am going to resolve this PDA component along horizontal direction, along vertical direction, then horizontal component will be PDA cos theta and vertical component will be PDA sin theta, which will be acting in the vertically downward direction. So for calculation of drag force on elemental area, I need to consider the PDA along horizontal direction, that is nothing but PDA cos theta. And here similarly, if I am going to resolve this tau 0 dA along horizontal and along vertical direction, then here as this angle is theta, so remaining angle will be 90 minus theta. So this component tau 0 dA along horizontal direction will be tau 0 dA cos of 90 minus theta. So this is nothing but the drag force which is acting on that elementary area. So here we are knowing the trigonometry, so cos 90 minus theta will be called as the sin theta. So the equation will become PDA cos theta plus tau 0 dA sin theta, PDA cos theta plus tau 0 dA sin theta. So this is nothing but the drag force acting on that elemental area. Now here if I want to calculate drag force, total drag force acting on the entire body, then as entire body is consisting of number of such small elementary area, hence the total drag force acting on an entire body will be given by taking the integration of that drag force acting on small elemental area dA. So here total drag force will be equal to integration of PDA cos theta plus integration of tau 0 dA sin theta. So this will be called as a total drag force which will be acting on the entire body. Now here in this, whatever the component integration of PDA cos theta component is there, that is called as a pressure drag, that is also called as a form drag, and another component tau 0 dA sin theta, integration of tau 0 dA sin theta, that component will be called as a shear drag, that is also called as a friction drag. So the term integration of PDA cos theta is called as a pressure drag, or that is also called as a form drag, and another term called as integration of tau 0 dA sin theta, that is called as a shear drag, that is also called as a friction drag, or that is also called as a skin drag. Now to understand the term pressure drag or form drag, or another term shear drag or skin drag or friction drag, we will consider one object. So here this is the stationary object, and surrounding to this stationary object there is a flowing fluid. So whenever that flowing fluid will be flowing surrounding to that stationary body, so that flowing fluid will be acting the forces. The force component along the direction of motion of that fluid will be called as a drag force. So here if you are observing this red color, so up to here, so whatever as that fluid motion is towards this direction, so here whatever drag force will be acting, that drag force will be acting mainly because of the friction. So that will be called as a frictional drag, or that is also called as a shear drag, or that is also called as a skin drag. And here at this side there will be the separation of that fluid from that boundary, and because of that separation of fluid, here whatever drag force will be acting that drag force will be called as a pressure drag or form drag. So here green line is called as a pressure drag. That pressure drag is always acting and always generated because of the flow separation. This red color will be called as a skin drag or shear drag or friction drag. Hence total drag force acting on a submerged body, total drag force acting on a submerged body is nothing but the summation of friction drag plus summation of friction drag plus pressure drag. So this is the total drag force acting on an entire body. Similarly, if I want to calculate total lift force acting on an entire body, so same diagram. Here I want to calculate the total lift force acting on the entire body. Same method we are going to follow. That means first of all I am going to calculate the value of lift force acting on a single elementary area dA. So lift force is nothing but vertical component of the forces because of the pressure force and shear force. And after calculating the lift force acting on a single body or a single elementary area dA, after taking the integration of lift force acting on a single elementary area dA, I will get the entire lift force or total lift force acting on the total stationary body. So here first of all we will calculate the lift force acting on a single elementary area dA. So for that purpose I need to resolve this pressure component or pressure force component and shear force component along the vertical direction. So pressure force component along the vertical direction will be P dA sin theta. So that P dA sin theta will be acting in the vertically downward direction, and here tau 0 dA sin theta or tau 0 dA sin 90 minus theta, that will be acting in the vertically upward direction. So first the vertical component of PdA is nothing but PdA sin theta acting in the vertically downward direction, and tau 0 dA sin 90 minus theta. Here I am considering this 90 minus theta. So vertical component will be tau 0 dA sin 90 minus theta, that will be acting in the vertically upward direction. So here I am considering vertical upward direction as a positive sign, vertically downward direction as a negative sign. So lift force on elemental area will be equal to minus PdA sin theta plus tau 0 dA sin 90 minus theta. Sin 90 minus theta is called as a cos theta, so which is equal to minus PdA sin theta plus tau 0 dA cos theta. So this is nothing but the lift force acting on a single elemental area dA. Now if I want to calculate total lift force acting on an entire body, sorry, here drag is written, typing mistake. So total lift force acting on an entire body, so that total lift force acting on an entire body will be the summation of lift force acting on the elemental area. So integration of or minus integration of PdA sin theta plus integration of tau 0 dA cos theta. So that will be called as a total lift force acting on an entire body. So here word lift is there, total lift force acting on an entire body. So in general, if I am considering a body which is moving through a fluid having mass density rho at a uniform velocity u, then the mathematical expression for calculation of drag and lift will be given by equation. First of all, drag force will be given by equation. In general, the drag force will be given by equation CD A rho u square upon 2. That means whatever equation number 1 and equation number 2 we have calculated, that means total drag force, total lift force acting on that entire body, that was in terms of integration of P dA sin theta or something plus tau 0 dA cos theta something. So by solving those components, further solving those components, finally we will get the equation for drag force. So drag force will be equal to CD A rho u square upon 2, whereas CD is called as a coefficient of drag, A is called as a projected area, projected area to the plane or projected area. Then rho is called as a density, u is called as a uniform velocity. Similarly, lift force will be calculated by using the equation FL is equal to CL A rho u square upon 2. CL is called as a coefficient of lift. And if I want to calculate, so here I have seen the formula for calculation of drag, CD A rho u square upon 2, calculation of lift FL CL A rho u square upon 2. If I want to calculate the resultant force or total force acting on the entire body, that will be calculated by taking the under square root of FD square plus FL square. So in this equation, CD CL called as the coefficient of drag, coefficient of lift, both are the dimensionless term. Rho is called as the density of fluid, u is called as the relative velocity of the fluid with respect to body, and a is nothing but the area. But while considering the area, so while calculation of drag force, usually we have to take the area which will be projected area on the plane perpendicular to the relative motion of the fluid, and while calculation of lift force, we have to take the area A as a projected area of the body on a plane at right angle to the direction of lift force. So this was all about related to the forces which are acting on a submerged body. Thank you.